Hi everybody, and welcome back to Learn by Play. This is our first episode, although technically session 0 of the new season of Learn by Play, in which we are taking a look at Dragon Heist Waterdeep and playing through it, while of course teaching you guys how to play Dungeons and Dragons and have the most fun that you can possibly have playing 5th edition. So let's go around to cast and crew. My name, of course, is Will. I'm a D&D sex icon, and I'll be the Dungeon Master of this season of Learn by Play. Let's go around and meet the players. We've got some new faces and some returning ones to meet here today. So we have with us Sydney. How's it going, Sid?
It's going great. I'm so excited to be back. I think this season is going to be a complete 180 from what we did last season, which is always really exciting to play different things and with new people. So, yeah, I'm pumped. Could not be more pumped to be here right now.
Excellent. We also have Myth-O-Matic with us tonight. Myth, how's it going, my friend?
I am doing great. I'm super happy to be here. Can't wait to play with all these wonderful faces and these talented players. It's going to be a blast. I'm super, like I said, happy and honored, and can't wait to tell some really cool stories and to teach some really cool games.
Absolutely. We, of course, have Tool School returning to our screens. School, how's it going, my friend?
It is going great. I am so glad to be back again with Learn by Play, teaching a new module. I have never visited Waterdeep in all of my D&D travels around, and so I'm really looking forward to experiencing this sort of city of legend in this setting. So, and to do it from level 1 is going to be certainly interesting. So I'm really looking forward to playing with all of these folks and to getting back into the wonders of Faerun and now Waterdeep.
Incredible stuff. We, of course, have Greg, Grimjack21502, back with us tonight. Greg, how's it going, my friend?
Oh, my buddy, I am pumped. We are back here. We're going to do some learning. We're going to do some buying, and we're going to do some playing. And last time we reinvented the realms, and this time we're going into Waterdeep, the city of splendors, the city that never sleeps because most of the time you're dead. It's a daring, daring place. There are heists. There are underground mob families. We're going to get into it all. We're going to dive into it all. I cannot wait to play. My favorite people are around me getting ready to play. Let's do this. Let's go back to Waterdeep. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And let's do it with Lindy. We have Lindy with us tonight. Lindy, how's it going?
Oh, I'm doing super duper spiffy. I am super excited to be playing in this season of Learn by Play. I was lucky enough to play one episode last season where I turned out to kind of be a bad guy, and it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to actually being a fellow player character on this one and seeing what adventures and shenanigans we can get up to, because I'm all about shenanigans.
Absolutely. There will definitely be plenty of shenanigans in this series of Learn by Play. So what is Learn by Play? For those of you who are new or maybe returning, haven't seen the series before, this is a series in which we play Dungeons and Dragons. We take moments aside from the game to teach you guys various different tips and tricks that we use to play Dungeons and Dragons and have the most fun with them. You can expect Dungeon Master tips and player tips, as well as I'll take asides with various different players throughout the course of the season to talk about different aspects of the games, and each session will focus on a different aspect of Dungeons and Dragons, dungeon mastering, playing, and various other tips and tricks along the way. This session, in fact, while it is episode 1 of the season, is going to be our session 0. Now, this is something that we talked about in the past 2 seasons, but we haven't actually broadcasted before. So what we wanted to do today was to show you guys fairly raw and unedited just session 0 that we are going to be having to talk about our characters. Now, you might notice that not all of the characters have names. We have our basic ideas for the characters that we're going to be playing. I have a solid foundation of what the game I want to run is. And we're going to be chatting with each other and creating the rest of our characters, figuring out how all our characters are connected, and walking you guys through the basics of a session 0 while we do so. So we're going to be, of course, playing the new module, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. We're actually going to be starting at level 1, and that is because we're going to have a pretty fun experience leveling up fairly swiftly for the first few episodes until we get to some of the more dangerous heist material, if you will. And the party have a pretty cool concept that we've come up with, and that the party are basically going to be heisters, but are also going to be involved in a criminal family. And so you will not be seeing such good guys as in the past couple of seasons of Learn by Play. Good characters trying to fight evil. This is more of a story of villainy, but perhaps heroics as well. So what I'd like to start with is to just go around the cast and crew and to just give us the concepts of your characters, a name if you have them, or at the very least just race and class and the idea for the character. So let's start in reverse order. Let's start with Lindy. Lindy, talk to us a little bit about the idea for your character.
Well, I have never played an Aasimar before, so I thought that would be super fun to try out that race. And monks, love monk, but I've not gotten to play a lot of monk, so I'm going to be playing an Aasimar monk, hoping to go down the way of the shadow, path of the shadow, and kick some butt. My idea for her is that she's very connected to her fellow party members. She feels very protective of them and wants to keep them safe. She's all tatted up. It's not her first time out on the streets. She has a little bit of experience kicking butt and taking names. So that's my big concept of her.
Very cool. Very cool. Greg, talk to us a little bit about your character.
Well, my character, last season, Zephyr the pirate. This season, who's an Air Genasi. I thought I'd go in the same vein, and I picked Stout Halfling. And my Stout Halfling's name is Flinrich Downcoin. And Flinrich is a wise guy. He is, or was, a made man in one of the crime families in Waterdeep. He was a very prominent wizard. However, Flinrich was caught. He was sent to Irongate Prison, and he was offered a choice. He was offered whether or not he wanted to betray the family and turn into a rat, or the powers that be would burn the wizard out of him. It was basically a curse, cutting him off from the weave and any use of magical items. He, of course, is no rat. And so now, the level 1 Stout Halfling rogue, Flinrich Downcoin, has returned to the family, his honor intact, but his experience not so much.
Super cool. A lovely idea of the magic being burnt out of the guy and being a cool high level character and being brought back down to level 1 with your peers. I'm sure that would be super interesting to see. Tool School, talk to us about your character. I love this idea.
Yeah, so Sal Diore is sort of, once had a pretty good name for himself as kind of a bruiser, enforcer of this family, but that's been 20, 25 years ago. As age has taken a toll on him, he sort of moved off the street, sort of into more of a sort of administrative job, just sort of kind of overseeing the family, and doing that for a while, sort of his skills kind of faded away from him. But now he finds himself being called back and needed once again by the family. And he finds he can't do the things that he was able to do anymore. He still has great wisdom of the family and of tradition and of honor and of the streets. And once I heard about a crime family and sort of the idea of that sort of mob honor, I decided on being a hobgoblin, because there's this whole background with hobgoblins, this race that was presented in one of the expansions, of just being all about honor and tradition and that sort of thing. And so I decided that would be a great fit for this. But since he no longer can be the warrior he was, he actually is turned to a bit of a shady path, which is to delve into the Crimson Rite and become a blood hunter in order to basically try to augment his waning strength and dexterity, and to try to sort of regain some of that that he has lost just by age and disuse over the years. His prowess out in the field has faded away, which leaves him back basically as a level 1. And in order to still be effective or feel effective and to sort of fulfill his honor-bound duty, has turned to the blood rites in order to make sure that he carries his weight in this sort of new era as he's called back.
Very cool. Very cool. I love the sound of that. Myth, let's give us a brief bit of description about your character for us.
Yeah, I'll be playing. I was just trying to click through a name generator to try to spark something, but I'll be playing. I think we're still open with my character concept to change completely, but right now I'm thinking I'm going to be playing I think maybe a fence for the family, one who takes the goods, the riches, and then goes out to sea and of course does the fence thing, trades and sells, and comes back with the coin for the family. Right. Working to be probably a made man with this fashion. Now, what makes the character stats-wise is he's going to be a storm sorcerer. So he's got a bunch of different spells that we're going to be using, and I think with this storm stuff, and I'm going to try to go ahead and class everything and flavor all the spells and magic that he has in this storm sea type wizardry and arcane magic, which is pretty sweet. I think I'm going to play him probably like a pirate or like a very pirate origin criminal, probably for this family or hired by this family or something of the sort. Another thing that was tickling in my creativity about the character is possibly a sunken pirate, as in he has been defeated by death before, or probably not defeated by death, but has overcome death. And maybe that's why he is now the rank he is at level 1, being substantially much weaker. Maybe he was once a rogue that had passed out at sea, but due to whatever cosmic interference that would interfere with his death, maybe it's the myth of the flash of green light that resurrects somebody, something of the sort, maybe brings him back, and now he's discovering this new I guess, ancestral, sepulchral sea and ice magic, also living the reputation of a once dreaded pirate or fence, but now a mage.
That's super cool. I've got a cool idea that I think might work well with the story that we'll go to once we go into a bit more detail about your characters. But loving the idea of the sunken, dead pirate vibe of bringing you back from Davy Jones's locker. It sounds awesome. Cool. And last but not least, Sid, talk to us a little bit about Ramsey. Is it?
Yes. So, okay. I had the idea of kind of reskinning. Originally, I was thinking a cleric. Okay, so backstory. In Turncloaks, our podcast, Tall Squall reskinned a cleric to be like a plague doctor and like redid the spells and all that. It's super cool. And so I was like super mega inspired, and I wanted to try something like that, to do sort of like someone who worked professionally in the medical field, who then sort of flipped that to be in black market medicine / drug dealing. So I was looking through like the cleric stuff, because I've never played a cleric before. I don't know anything about them. So I was reading it for the first time ever. And like nothing was like, like grabbing me, like clicking with like the idea that I had. Like I was thinking life might make sense, but I don't know, anyway. So as I was browsing, I found the Alchemist class on the DM's Guild, and it's by Rich Howard, and it's like, it was so cool. It was like, perfect. This is what I wanted. And so I'm super excited to get to play with this. But the concept is that it's this young girl who is like really passionate about helping people and healing people, and so studied medicine. And then, boom, some event happened, and she left this field to work, for the family. And I don't know what that is. That's kind of left open for this session 0. We'll figure out what that event was. But I guess the reason she'd be level 1 is like making medicine for the black market is a lot different than making medicine, right, to sell, in a hospital or something.
You don't have your lab and stuff, maybe.
Yeah. It's like, and you don't have anybody overseeing you. You don't have the same people supplying the products that you use to make these different things. So it's like learning how to make it all homebrew and stronger to meet the needs of this new clientele.
Perfect. And immediately I can see a link there being between yours and Myth's character. Supply and demand. You need products for this, whatever it is you're making for the family, and Myth can probably fence and supply them for you as characters. So awesome. So first thing I wanted to talk about is just figure out what your characters were. The next thing I like to do in session 0s is let's work on a little bit of the backstory about why you guys are traveling together here in Waterdeep. Obviously, you guys are going to be assigned a task. There's going to be a starting quest, which is obviously our heist. But before that, I think it would be cool to have we had this cool idea about the family and being like a mob group, and just talk to one another about what kind of organization you guys would like to be a part of. Obviously, Waterdeep is a place where you can get away with a great deal of crime. There's a great deal of criminal organizations around. So perhaps it's linked to Sid's character's black market medicine supplies, maybe your drug pushers, or maybe it's more of like a racketeering deal, or just heisters, more like an Ocean's 11 style crew. What do you guys? Did anything like immediately jump to mind when you guys heard that it's going to be a mob family? Is there something that was like, yes, I want to be that? Or is
I think when Sid was explaining her character a second ago, I got super duper strong, like Godfather into one, beginning at two vibes, where the drugs were just hitting the streets and the family was like, no, we don't want to do this. You know, we want to just stick with the old ways. We've got to go gambling and, you know, this. And then it was like, well, no, it's coming. There's no way we can stop it. And so the Corleone family, they decided that what they were going to do is they were going to, well, kind of peripherally, but the end result was we're going to bring in our own dealers so we can control it. You know, we're not going to sell it around schools. We're not going to do this. We're going to keep it honorable. And I think the idea of having this old school, honorable crime family in Waterdeep that sees the times changing, you know, experiencing the Chult death curse that hit, having all of these things kind of happen willy-nilly throughout the entire city and kind of creating a vacuum of power, knowing that they're either going to be squeezed out or move in with the times. That's good on a macro level for the crime family. And then specifically with Squall and my characters, these old guys that really don't have anything to offer anymore. So if the family could get squeezed out by not moving with the times, so too could my halfling and his hobgoblin get moved out on a like a unit level with it. And I just like the idea of, you know, Sid's character is the one they bring in. They're like, well, we know this crazy drow. We could, you know. I mean, we might be able to control it.
Cool. Right. Like an old power in a city, like the crime family were once like, you know, traditionally very strong, and times are changing, you know, evolving on the streets, and maybe they're being pushed out of power, and so there's like a need to like revamp this organization. Like they can see that their business isn't going as well, and so like any business that's failing, they bring in some new bodies to be like, okay, you guys are going to shake things up because you're like, you know, young people to the family, and we're going to bring in the old timers because like we can rely on them to not rat us out. They're going to keep an eye on you, but also you need to teach them like how to be young, right? Like how to do business in, you know, in the modern age.
Well, yeah, and that whole, you know, my whole piece of the honor, you know, the idea that, you know, did they assign me that my place is to sort of make sure it stays honorable? You know, something along those lines of, you know, they bring in, you bring the old guy out of the back room of the Italian restaurant and go, I have a job for you, you know. You know, I gotta call you back in, Saldore. You're the only person I trust to go out there and make sure that this doesn't end up in our kids' hands or whatever, you know, something like that idea. You know, they have an offer they can't refuse, and Saldor is just like, I ain't the guy I was. And so kind of an idea that might be interesting for how I could tie into, and my relationship certainly with Ramsey could get very interesting. And yeah, I love that idea.
I like the old and new school.
Approach. Because I was like, I'm still trying to figure out like why or how or what reason she left, like, you know, like the upstanding medical field, like working as like a physician, like a doctor. And I don't really know what that is, but I think if we are thinking about having some cool character conflict there, because you're like all about honor, all this, like maybe like she's like a little bit more like selfish, and maybe like, because the first idea that I had was about like maybe she had an idea for a cure for the death curse and wasn't allowed to like manufacture it because like conspiracy theory, the government is implementing the death curse and like they won't let her cure it. And so she left to try and fix it on her own, which was more of like a good alignment sort of thing, but it could be cool if it was like the opposite and she was like, I'm not making any money in this and I could be selling like 10 times stronger stuff if I go and do it by myself. And then I guess her motto then would be like, we sell it to anyone who will buy it because we're a business. Whereas your motto is more like, you know, we don't, that's not how we run. That's not how we do this. And that could,
No, I like that idea.
That could get spicy.
Yeah,
I definitely, I don't think that's something that as like alchemists in Waterdeep would probably be under a lot of pressure, but also a lot of scrutiny from whatever like practice they work for. Presumably some kind of government regulated organization, which is like, you know, we make sure that all of our alchemists aren't producing like super
Waterdeep FDA.
Right, exactly. Like, this stuff is regulated. It's got an FDA stamp. But there's no way they can pay you guys as much as like the drug pushers could. So like, it's entirely possible that one of the party members recruited you to the family, and were like, you know, hey, like we're going to bring in this new person, and I'm going to vouch for them, or we're just going to take a gamble on this person because they're probably the family are probably always trying to recruit people like yourself because of the possibility of the money.
Well, and the idea of the old family into gambling. I mean, I don't know if you would want to go down this path, Ramsey. I mean, do you have a gambling problem? Do you owe money to the family? You know, the reason you needed to make more money was because, you know, that you know, you like the cards or the dice, or, you know, you have your own little vice that kind of got you into the, why wasn't your salary enough? Maybe, you know, something along that lines.
Oh, you know, you're idealistic. You borrowed money to make the cure. And then they didn't buy the cure,
money
and
lenders.
You can't pay it back. Yeah,
These are like two different sides of the coin, and I'm like, I don't know, is she a good person or not? Because like,
well, you get so here's the thing: like creating the death curse would have made you millions. So it doesn't have to be an altruistic, like I want to save people. It could have been like, hey, like I have the cure to a curse that everyone had. I'm going to make so much money from doing it, and then they don't buy it, and
then nobody buys it. Yeah. Okay, I like that. I like that, and I like sort of maybe a twist on the gambling thing is like plunging deeper into the I sell to anyone who buys idea, that like maybe like I sold something too strong to the wrong person, and like I knew that it was gonna like hurt them. It was too much for them. They got hurt, they died, they got sick, something happened to them, and now maybe they had some connections, and those connections are after her. Sort of like a justice thing, like where like she knew she was selling the wrong thing to the wrong person, but did it anyway.
I just kind of love this idea, and it's maybe too twisty. It's maybe too twisty. Everyone knows I love my deep lore. Was what burned out Finrich's magic something alchemical that you sold to Iron Gate Prison?
Now that's cool.
I like that.
I like that. That's a really fun time.
Lindy and Greg just played live with me at Gen Con and have realized how really horribly devious my twists and turns are.
No,
oh my god! And like,
like
the second she hears Finrich's story, like she knows, and that like comes out later that like she created. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Maybe also another way to get you involved in the family is, you know, you worked at the prison. Maybe you met with Finrich, and maybe that's a way that you guys could also be connected. Yeah.
Maybe I know Finrich from prison. Because I don't really have much of a tie, and like we became really good friends in prison.
That's cool.
Yeah, we did. What I was thinking with your monk too. There's a Sid said, you know, sides of a coin. I was thinking, you know, you've got Squall's character who's at the end of the line but trusted. But they if Squall's character, if Saldori knows that he doesn't have it anymore, he was the last one to come to that realization. The family knew immediately he was a step behind, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, put him in the kitchen. He's going to get somebody killed. They bring him out for this kind of one last, we're going to give you the honor mission. And then the flip side of that is they bring in the monk who is the new version of Saldore. And they bring the two of them in as you're on your way out, she's on our way in. Bon voyage. You're going out
transition.
with honor.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. There could be a great growth thing of possibly Saldore at first being, train your replacement, but then it becomes that whole, this big bond between student and teacher that we start out, that we could grow, depending on how it goes, of this respect of, and especially, you've got that real cool dichotomy of especially if you go, I forget which it's called, the good Aasimar class, the not fallen and the not.
No, I'm the protector Aasimar, but I'm going to go with
Aasimar,
Shadow Monk. I want to play with that light shadow a lot. Yeah,
I love that yin yang thing going on, and I think Saldore would really respect that yin yang, in balance, the honor of balance type idea could be very cool.
I think it would be awesome if there was the powers that be in the family, the heads of the family, the ones that after Flinrich got burned out and was no longer capable of ruling at the level that he had been in, if one of those other heads of the family came to the Aasimar monk and said something to the effect of, Saldore, we'd really like him to go out in a blaze of glory. We'd like to see him if he's gonna die, we're not saying he should die, but if he would die, it'd be nice if he'd go out in a blaze of glory. You want in? Send the old man on his way, and that's it.
Well, so on a brief
send him
note,
to pasture on a job.
On a job. Yeah, on a real quick note, as I think there will be 3 heads of the family. So that there is always some kind of contention going on in our story.
Yeah.
And I think we've got probably 2 old schoolers, and we've got 1 up and comer, like the new faction. And this up and comer is moving into more of a powerful place in the family, and that's why these changes are happening. Despite what the old schoolers really want, this new guy's like, "Hey, we've got to change or else," and that's why we're seeing a lot of these changes. School, did you have something you wanted to say there?
Well, I had an idea, since we're doing a lot of this replacements type idea, that we have, you had mentioned a rogue myth, that you were a rogue and then died and became a sorcerer. And our wizard got burned out and is now a rogue.
Yeah.
That you have that, you could have that great thing of suddenly, you were the rogue who now suddenly has magic. And we have the wizard who basically, is left with only, has his magic gone and now is trying to become a rogue.
Right. Yeah.
Which could be an interesting dichotomy for you guys.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It lends itself so well, these heists. And if we would go with this old and young, it could almost be like the heads of the family were trying to secure power and underestimated the young guy that Will's going to have as a young woman that's going to be in as one of the heads. That the younger crew is meant to usurp and take out these older assets that the old guys have, like Saldore, like Flinrich, that could be taken out in the field. But it lends that perfect moment that when we really find out what we're going after in this dragon heist, right? That we look around and we go, you know what? The hell with the family. If we decide to do this together, we could be our own fam. And, it gives us that moment of, are we going to be led or lead? And
I love that. Yeah. And that, and just as this builds on, depending on how the story goes and how the heist goes, we pull this one off. We're not answering to anyone anymore.
Right.
We answer to each other. Young and old.
Yeah, the stakes will definitely be high for you guys, I'm sure. The one thing I wanted to bring in on Myth's story was you said that you had an idea of being like a drowned pirate. Maybe you died before, and now for some reason being released. Yeah, sure. Right. So at the end of our last season of play, Greg's character, who was a Edgenassi, had a father who was Jin Al-Khazor, the king of the West Wind, who was essentially this genie of the ocean, who held souls and power over sailors and all, like kind of like a bit of a Davy Jones-esque type character was the way he ended up. And I love the idea because he got killed at the very end of the last season, and so he died, which has surely precipitated a whole lot of change across the ocean and of lost and trapped souls. So I love the idea that maybe you were taken by him, killed by him, made a deal with him, and you've been trapped for some amount of time, and his death has released you out back into the world, and maybe you're part of the old guard as well. Like you remember the family back in the height of its power, and you're kind of
I was thinking him
like,
being
what the hell's
older.
happened? Yeah, like where's
he's stuck in this not quite death. Yeah.
Right.
He's a storm sorcerer too. What if a bit of Jin Alcazor's power that was used to hold him is part of him, and that's fueling his storm? He was a rogue, and now he's a storm sorcerer.
So I'm going to do my pitch for D&D Beyond, because with 2 clicks I got to Storm Sorcery. Just listen to the official description of Storm Sorcery. Your innate magic comes from the power of elemental air. Many with this power can trace their magic back to a near-death experience caused by the Great Rain, or Jin Alcazor, we could say, but perhaps born during a howling gale so powerful that folks still tell stories about it, the death of the West Wind. Your lineage might include the influence of a Portner or air creatures such as Jin. Whatever the case, the magic of the storm permeates your being. Invaluable members of ships' crews. Abilities also prove useful in repelling attacks by Shogun, pirates, and other waterborne threats. I mean, it's like, I don't know how much you had already built into that, but the fact that it could tie right into the death of Jin Alcazor, and his death, of course, a powerful gale that ended up killing you, but then you were imbued with his power when you were revived. It could be really cool.
Yeah. I think it'd be kind of cool too if like a huge gale, rogue wave, or something, and I blacked out, and that changed everything. And maybe years have gone by, and like my icy corpse maybe washes up on Waterdeep, and then but the family recognized me because I disappeared, and they recognize me and bring me back to wherever before the town guard does, and that's when I'm trying. Years have passed, and I'm trying to still catch up on what happened. I still think I'm a pirate, but I'm icy to the touch. My fingers don't move as fast as they used to. I'm a little bit slower. But of course, when I start learning about magic and with the air stuff, I can then become more nimble, but at the cost, or at the with the power of the winds and water and stuff will help keep me mobile. So I try to what's the word? I try to substitute, I guess, my dexterity and my powers of movement with how the arcane, or the water arcane has gifted me.
There's got to be a story there as to how he died, which I think we can keep ambiguous for now. But he's an old timer. He got sent out on a mission, and now he suddenly never came back. Could be a little suspicious. There's plenty of room for us there in our story to have some fun with that, I think.
And he's the perfect bridge too, because he's an old guy that isn't old. He looks young, but he remembers Saldore or Flinrich as being these young guys, and he washes up years later, but relating more perhaps to the age group that is currently surrounding him. And then how did he die? Was it a hit?
Was it his own
today? Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever want to know, and leave that for Will. So
With Will, we're gonna find out.
Yeah. It's those kind of things where it's like, you know what, that one's for you.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think we've all got some.
I'm thinking
pretty
Barbosa, Barbosa E.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Just
so Linda, you're thinking your Shadow Monk is met Greg's character in jail, and that's how you became acquainted, or do you think you were already a part of the family and happened to be in the prison?
Maybe I was part of the family, and then I purposely got thrown in jail to like get escort Flintridge out because they knew his sentence was coming up soon. It's like, yeah, just go get like a fist fight or something. Like go get in trouble, get yourself thrown in jail, and you can catch him up on everything, and you all both walk out together, and then it's not as obvious that I'm trying to replace Saldore as much, maybe, because it's like, oh hey,
go in there and
take
care of Flintridge. We heard that he lost all of his power, and if he says anything, he gets an accident, something like that.
Yeah, it's basically like that, because you've been in prison for a while, so
I've been there for a while.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that idea as well. Like Saldore and Flintridge are part of the old guard, and they're the two ranking members of the family, the older guys. Whereas this new up and comer is bringing in Lindy's character and Ramsey and being like, all right, you guys are my people, and we're going to maybe get rid of some of the others if needs be, and then.
Saldore, you're going to be training this one as soon as she's out of prison. Just as soon as she's out of prison, but I was purposely sent to prison to check out Flintridge.
Nice. So a little bit more, I guess, about the operation itself. What kind of like day-to-day like crimes or business do you think you guys are committing? Like, is it a racketeering deal in which like you guys own all of the bars and the pubs in Waterdeep in a certain section? Or maybe all of the ships, imports, exports, like you heavily tax everything that comes in with your own, private tax, or is it that you guys are thieves or murderers? I'm not sure. I mean, like, what do you guys vibe with the most? You think?
I mean, I love racketeering just because I'm an old racketeering guy. That sort of little rat packy type idea.
It's a classic.
Confirmed. All school is a
racketeering here and there. Yeah.
Just from back in my youth,
Back in '98.
Ran all of Florida.
Okay.
It was Miami, 1965.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being, if it's going to be old school, go real old school, like protection.
Right.
There are always street thugs, and there's always just like the individual a monster that wanders through Waterdeep or out of somewhere. If this family offered initially protection, and protection grows to gambling, offering services, smuggling, bootlegging, bringing in black market finance, money lending.
Right.
Those are all the principal hubs of the original like mafia. I think that would be cool. And then if there was anything I was trying to think of, and I'll throw it to these excellent experts around me, was there ever anything in the Forgotten Realms lore that could be used, and maybe this bleeds in a way with Sid's character, that there was a prohibition type of like era where something was outlawed that they didn't allow? If there was something like that that's where this family really made their money, and they were looking to replicate that with Sid's character. Like, we'll get back on top. She's got a cure. We'll just finance the hell out of this. She sells it. We make a bunch. Oh, they're not going to let her sell it. Oh, we're out a lot of money. Well, and that's
right.
Maybe something like that.
I mean,
it was trying to repeat
that, like the death curse itself was like ended, right? Like the heroes in Chol, put an end to it, and so the market was suddenly like, swept out from under you, basically.
Yeah.
You thought it was going to go on forever, and then, the death curse was ended by those pesky heroes doing all good stuff in the first season. And then it's like, oh, right, well, no one needs this anymore. So we've just financed this huge thing. All right, you're ours now. Sid's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, like they needed to do something to get back on the top of the game, because, you've got so many other criminal organizations in Waterdeep. And it is like, it's all out war on the streets, right? As far as you guys are concerned, like there are, underground invisible wars that are happening all the time with your gang and all of the others, on top of all of the crazy stuff that goes on. Yeah. People are converted, pubs are blown up, the territory is taken and retaken. So it may have been that your territory has been, reduced. And so there's now a smaller operation, and they're looking to try and regain lost territories and lost battles.
I don't know if they're here as well. Do we have the Zethrum or the
Zentrim are here? Yeah, they definitely have a hold in Waterdeep. you've got a bunch of different gangs. You've got like Xanathar is going to be one of our central villains of his gang. So you've got probably at any time 5 to 6 major gangs. And maybe you guys used to be a major force in the city, and now you're kind of like nobody's as far as the big players are concerned. Like, oh yeah, I remember the name of that family, but they're in the history books now, and it's a
they're
matter
not
of
around,
like,
right?
Yeah, like those guys still exist. It's like VHS,
Saldori makes it bean fettuccine down at the old restaurant,
That's like the day-to-day operations is like criminal fettuccine that you guys are making.
That's the front. Yeah.
So I was just reminding myself about my class real quick. I forgot, and this could be an interesting thing with Ramsey and I. In addition to sort of the blood stuff they do, they have a thing called Hunter's Bane, which they get at first level, which you survive the imbibing of Hunter's Bane, a poisonous alchemical concoction that alters your lifeblood. Does he actually get, to get back into this, does he actually have to turn to Ramsey? So there's even more of that weirdness of him being dependent on her. Could get interesting.
Ooh, yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That he's got something over you to keep you honorable, but you've got something over him because you're the one who's making it that he can even be a blood hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were able to get it for me.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, nice little power
I'm
dynamic.
just like waiting for the explosion already. Yeah.
It's
like I can like see now, like the scolding of a lifetime, because like I can go ahead and tell you, like Ramsey is not going to be like the character that you love. Like you're probably not going to like her that much. Like I'm sure we'll, as time progresses, there will be connections and formed, and like all that stuff. At the very beginning, she's not very nice, and like she doesn't want to be here. It sounds like the way we're going is like she is kind of not part of this family by choice. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't think she's going to be having a great time. But I can definitely see like she starts really enjoying being part of the family because they've got this new regime where like the young people are sort of like praised and applauded for everything they do. So she gets a big head, and I can already sense like Saldori being like, "Do you know what's happening to me? You're next," and she's gonna be like, "Shit." I can see it. I see it all unfolding. Please play this clip right here next to the clip of what I just described. That's going to happen in a couple of weeks.
When it happens.
When the inevitable strikes.
And I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait to get my ass handed to me by Saldori.
So we're going for like a racketeering business somewhere in Waterdeep. You guys protect
prohibition,
racketeering, smuggling. Yeah.
I like smuggling.
A lot of the
smuggling with the racketeering. It's like, you can't have steak without potatoes. You can't have racketeering.
Smuggle potatoes.
Was Mythmatic's character our last big chance to save it? That he had the big shipment that never came in.
That never came in.
Maybe.
But that was definitely right. Like this old guy, and that used to be like a really big pirate business. You go and fetch whatever prohibition item it was from across the seas, and then you'd bring it back in, and you guys would smuggle it in and then sell it off to people and the various different pubs and bars that you protect. But when he didn't come in several years ago,
I feel like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, illegal spell components.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, too dangerous to be sold or strictly regulated.
But he doesn't know what happened, and so that shipment could potentially be somewhere.
Yeah, could have hit it somewhere.
Sitting there.
Why it went missing is a super interesting. It becomes even more intrigue. There is like, is someone in the family working against you, or was it another criminal family who took you guys down, and you still don't know?
Yeah. And that's why he was brought in. That's why when they found him, they brought him in, not because they were, oh my God, you're back. They're like, we need to know what happened.
Yeah, where is the ship?
What happened? I'm not sure.
Back out the field.
I don't know. Maybe if I hang out with you, I will jog the memory. Right, exactly.
We just hit him in the head enough times with these missions. He'll jog it eventually.
Well, maybe
remember that time we were drinking tea?
memory regaining medicine at some point.
Oh yeah,
It all comes
The North
back.
the Alchemist, like you deal with him, you bring back his memory, and he'll tell us where the shipment is if you can bring it back, and that's like your task as well. It's like not only do you need to be making stuff for you, but because we own you, you're going to bring back his memory, which may be something that you have zero ability to do.
Yeah,
and
that's sick.
Yes, but you can't say no.
You can't say no because otherwise, you know,
Often you can't refuse.
is going to, you know, cut off various parts of your hands. I'm sure if you don't do as you're told. That's super cool, and I love the idea that the power waned when the shipment never came in because they never managed to get the reagents and the supply's been cut off. So now they're like, well, what do? We just racketeer, but you know that business is
to keep it in the city now.
Right?
Well,
Yeah.
again,
A lot of the power was relied on the smuggling, and then the smuggling was cut, and then it was, oh, what do we do now? Yeah,
like that's where the power comes from.
And then while waiting for the shipment, the territories just shrunk because everybody else was thriving. Yeah.
Yep. But
What if I'm not
they did
even a
big
part of the
gamble
family?
on
I'm just an
death curse,
associate.
And then that's failed.
Yep.
Yeah, just a lot of blows, like just like taking them down notch after notch after notch, and now they're trying to bring it back
We
somehow.
got this one heist. Just one heist to bring it
You got
all
one
back.
job. It's crazy.
Right. So,
If you pull
Saldori and I, just when we thought we were out, they keep pulling us back
They
in.
keep pulling us back in.
But you love it though. You're like, couldn't do it without me, could you? Like kind of thing.
Oh,
I thought I was out, and I was pulled back in.
yeah.
Super cool. Yeah. And the being brought back into not only the family but to life itself through the death of Jen Alcazar, I think is super cool way in to the story for your character, Myth. So yeah, you run racketeering, you used to do smuggling. You guys probably have some kind of home base. Maybe it's like a central guild hall, or maybe it's just like a bar that you guys all frequent, and it's like
a Skyrim base.
A badass Skyrim base. A city in the clouds.
Gotta figure what that is.
Or maybe it's like a cellar type area, like the tunnels beneath the sewers or something like that. Could be.
Yeah.
Something with a little culture, maybe a wine cellar or something to play.
There's got to be something
Yeah.
involving a restaurant
vineyard.
or like a bar. It has to be.
Yeah,
a venue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
I think for- I mean,
restaurant's
I
a great idea. Saldori's restaurant. The
The
restaurant where
fettuccine.
There you go.
Saldori works. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's the front of the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing.
What if
Like
it's a
family
winery?
restaurant?
Yeah.
Or a
family
vineyard.
restaurant.
Yeah.
It's a family restaurant.
There's
Yeah.
5 of us in
Capital
like a
F,
booth
yeah.
talking. Like,
Right.
so everybody.
Would you like some
Corner
wine?
booths.
Like, yeah. I like that though. Like you guys, you know,
You
it
move
is
like the
like-
third barrel of wine on like the bottom
Well, like
of
every-
the cellar. It like
every-
leads into a secret
yeah.
room where the
every
smuggled-
organization needs they need like a front to in order to launder the money, right? So like
Yeah.
you guys probably own several different restaurants through which you launder the illicit
Mhm.
money through like very generous tips that you guys leave, you know, like this sack of gold, and that's how it's going through
Right.
legitimate business. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have one glass of
And
wine.
we
Here's
can
$100.
work in the kitchen
Exactly. Keep the change.
Right.
to make drugs.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
the kitchen's for. Yeah.
And they're
You can also have
picture
like, because
that's-
I'm sure
It's it's the meth kitchen.
that they'd also make their own alcohol.
Mhm.
Wait, this is the
Absolutely.
home brew. So you know you just
Right.
got to go down to the where the brewer's supplies are to
Mhm.
make
Right.
some of your
cellar.
concoctions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. What
Garlic
okay, so what
covers the
kind of
smell of lots of stuff.
right?
does.
Yeah.
In the
I
garlic.
could just see an accountant for the city of Waterdeep coming in, and like it's like a Kenku or something like that, and they're looking through a book, and they're like, "So you're telling me it's 75,000 gold pieces in flour last week? A lot of flour being used.
A lot
around
of. Do you know how much flour goes into this
Covered in
pasta?
flour.
here."
This pasta, it's grandma's
The
old
thickest
recipe.
pasta sauce you've ever. The most floury sauce.
We got a storm giant that's moving it.
So, presumably Ramsey is new, but has been there for a while in order to set up the drug operation, which is like the new part of the business. It's like, okay, we can't get shipped drugs in we're going to get our own person to make them like in-house, which is going to save us money, and we're not going to have to rely on someone coming in and possibly pirates getting to them. We're going to make it all in-house. What do you think you guys are making? Is it just like street drugs, or is it like something?
Yeah, so I'm going to read you like the synopsis of the metamorph subclass of this alchemist thing, and we'll do with that what we will. So it's not all alchemists search for answers in the outside world. Some resort to personal and professional experimentation to improve the humanoid condition. Metamorphs learn technique for enhancing the abilities of their companions as well as transforming their own bodies. And then it has a list of the spells that you can do, but it's like alter self, enhance ability, jump, expeditious retreat, things like that. So I'm like, the way I described it earlier, it was like the limitless pills, but I guess like something of that nature that's like just like fix you type of thing, like you're aging and stop, you know, make you young again. Like maybe that could could be it. Yeah.
Well,
snake oil.
Olay, like just regenerate.
It's the best cold cream you'll ever use.
Absolutely. Love that stuff. Just a thought. Tying back into the last big Chult, there's a huge vacuum for adventurers. Chult wiped out a whole generation of mid-level adventurers. Are we selling those dreams of becoming an adventurer to like folks of that, hey, there's, all those famous people you hear about here in Waterdeep, the people who come walking in with sacks full of gems and magic swords, all that stuff's still out there. Let me show you the shortcut to how to get there.
Right. So you're like creating a new class of people.
Yeah.
We're sponsoring adventures like forcefully. They go out, they come back, we get a percentage of their loot.
Oh yeah. The new
and if
business
they never come
is
back, you go and get their equipment.
Right. No skin off our back.
Right.
It sounds
the new business
lot
adventurers.
Exactly. It sounds a BioShock Rapture, when everybody went down into the city. They wanted to be the movie stars, the singers, so they were given plasmids that boosted their abilities. This is just the long con of, who wants to be famous? Who wants to be good at sports? Who wants to be blah blah blah? And the magic pill that Ramsey. Yep.
You know that Drizzy guy?
Finally
Could be you.
Oh, what?
Take this purple pill and you'll be just like it. Right.
Yeah, slightly addictive. Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, because all those famous people are here in Waterdeep right now. Like they were saying, I mean, they're all here, and it's just like, you can be
example.
The next.
Yeah.
Something like, it took him 20 years. I can get you there in 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could even say, like, why do you think they're coming here now? Like, they're old, they need help. Why do you think they're here? We can like insinuate like the reason that all these like super famous monsters are like coming here because they're falling apart and they need us.
Yeah.
We're selling power leveling, folks. That's what we're
right. That's exactly
cost of $9.99 a month.
Level 1 to
we're just going to need you to give us access to your account.
D&D Beyond login information.
We're going to take it back to 2E. We can say, in the next room, we have 1,000 kobolds that we've beaten nearly to death. We want you to go in there and finish them off, and you'll come out level 6.
I love that idea, but like on a more serious note, I guess like there probably is like there's a dearth of adventurers, so like there's probably like a feeling in people that they want heroes, that they want people that they can look to. And when there's like no one to really look to in a place of villainy and scum like Waterdeep, heroes try and arise, and you guys are there to sell that dream. It's like, yeah, you guys can. You're the new heroes of Chult because we need some heroes, and you guys then prey upon those heroes. And I like the idea of like there being a faction or a new class of people that have emerged or are emerging because of this drug that you're pushing on the streets. that we could bring into the game. You know, like a group of basically vigilantes who think that they're heroes and are here to bring like street level justice to Waterdeep. And you guys like, yeah,
murder
go for
hobos.
it.
We are the reason for murder hobos.
Like push them onto, you know, other gangs. You know, like these guys are really bad.
Yeah.
You know, like we just run a fettuccine factory with a lot of flour. You know, like these guys over there, like they're the bad guys.
They're
You
terrible.
need to go sort them out. You get your own army. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
See that
There's a
black
bunch of
guy
Yeah,
that
with a
she's
layer of
got?
separation. Yeah.
He got like eaten out by that other gang. I'm like, oh man.
But like part of the whole
Really beat 'em up.
scheme could be like almost like, you know, scam recruits where like we go out and find people and convince them that we were like sent to find them, and specifically them, because they're like the only ones who could save it. Like all that, like we pretend to be like the Cinder Sylvains that are like sending out the messages to you. You're the one that we need, and so like we like fake them out into thinking that they're the ones, and we're here to train them because they have this something special, and like that's so sad but genius.
It's so it's
That's
like
fantastic. Yeah,
it's like you could be a model.
Yeah.
Right. It's fantastic, but it shows that what our group has been like, if any other family saw us doing that, where we're going around to street level people and being like, you could be here, they'd be like, my God, look what what they have to do. They have to go around and talk. It's a beautiful con that would be frowned upon by the elite, by the ones that are like really dealing with high level powers. And the thing is, it works. And Sid's powers would work. And when we reach that point where we get introduced to the heist, and we can either steal the whatever it is for the family's benefit, or we could fuel Sid's everything with the money that we take and make our own. It just lends itself to that choice that's going to have to be made.
It's kind of Yakuza. I mean, we're picking up the street levels and feeding them with the dream of celebrity status and to change it to something better, whether it's the celebrity status, but also keeping a complete hold on the infrastructure of crime and whatever the organization may be.
Right. Yeah,
it has to be some kind
which
of
is different than the mafia.
Well, yeah, like they and the thing is they will come back because they're going on these like, you know, excursions and different adventures and stuff, and like we've convinced them that if they don't take this, they are going to die. Like, you know, this is like life or death. Take this or you're not going to be strong enough to defeat this next thing. So like there's like addiction in it, but there's also like, you know, a psychological like fear that if you don't take it, you're going to get murdered. And so like you have to take it. And then when they get like too powerful, I promise I don't do this in real life. I promise. But like then when they
this
like
sounds really
get
thought out, Sid.
Not anymore.
when they get like too powerful or too strong or too smart, or they figure it out, we give them a placebo. They go off and charge into battle, and they do die, and they're not a problem anymore.
So
I can't wait for this game.
So
We're running a
thought of
drug
something.
addiction true dungeon.
Oh, I was going to say, like, there has to be some kind of addiction or withdrawal or, you know, downsides. It can't all be like, you're great, you're amazing. Like, when you don't have it, it must, you know, similarly to
Oh, there needs to be some super withdrawal side effects so they always want it coming back.
So thinking of what Greg said and changing a little bit what I thought of with my relationship with Ramsey earlier, Saldori despises that we're doing it, but he basically had to do it himself. And I don't think he went to Ramsey. He went to someone else, but Ramsey can spot it. So that it's not that I went to Ramsey because I don't want Ramsey shit. I went elsewhere, someplace darker, worse, whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that Saldori is all about, we've lost everything if we're out there peddling this crap. But he did it himself because
pitch for you, Tool School. Feel free to say it. Is what if there is another family who are blood hunters or have a lot of blood hunter connections, and maybe you know them, and maybe you have a friend or contact in them who is like, you know what, you want some help, old buddy, old pal, we'll hook you up.
Yeah.
And it's not in
Like-
the family,
like
it's
a
kind of
drug.
betrayal.
Yeah.
But
I know I love
this
the
could have been your
idea.
Oathbreaker thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, because originally I was thinking doing Oathbreaker, but I kind of love that idea of, and my counter pitch is, it's not that Saldori gets so preyed upon, you know, even if you were in separate families, there's the Saldori of the, you know, of the Talarici family over there, that we've known each other and have been rivals, but respectful rivals from the old school for 50 years.
Right.
And, you know, one day there's a knock on the door. I brought over ingredients for fettuccine, or, you know, it'd be like, hey, let me make you some fettuccine and talk to you for a little bit. And he, you know, these two sort of old soldiers, and he goes, I need your help. And he gets it, but, you know, a favor's a favor in between families. And so he, you know, even though it was through old, you know, those old friends, you know, respectful rivals, at the end of the day, Saldori still owes that other family one. And especially at level 3, when I need the next hit. At level 3, when I need the next hit for whichever subclass I choose, then it's really going to get interesting. That I'm going to have to
start getting called in, and that's cool.
Saldori is Luca Blasi. He is Luca. You are Luca. He went to the meeting. He went to what the other family had to offer. You're goddamn Luca.
No. Oh no, I am.
You went to the meeting. You took the 50,000. You're a rat. You rat bastard. I got burned out. I was in prison. Do you know how hard it is for a stout halfling in prison?
Oh god,
it was session 0.
Dude, when you find out, Lindrich finds out that I mean, I don't necessarily rat them out, but they're gonna when they call that favor in, and I'm gonna have to choose them over the family.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, and it's like that's such a twist because like it's like the reason you went and got that, you know, like boost me up drug was probably because you wanted to stay in the family and you knew that you were on your way out, and so you're like, I need to get better and stronger, faster, back to how I used to be, so I can stay in it.
I've been told I'm trading this new kid after she gets out of jail, but I'm not.
Yeah, I can't.
The drug gives a temporary level.
Yeah, and so you do that just for like your only hope to stay in, but in turn you kind of like secure your fate to head out. Oh
yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so invested.
Deep story. I love it. But yeah, no, I'm trying to think of that deeper hook for Lindy. For Lindy.
I have a name now. I thought of a name.
Oh, did you?
Drexel. Yes, Drexel.
Go on.
Drexel.
Nice.
Drexel.
Love it.
The half the Aasimar Shadow Monk.
Drexel.
Oh, here it is. Drexel's from the other family. And you know it.
Ooh.
And you can't say a word as she climbs the ranks and destroys the family from inside.
That's your favor.
Oh, that she's infiltrating the family.
And that's why you've got a trainer and you volunteered to train her so she doesn't get found out.
The favor is that I train up
I like that.
Drexel, who's from she's not a blood hunter herself, but she is, you know, again, she's the sleeper agent. Oh, and I know it.
That's great.
And the way they do it is, you know, Flinrich met this one in prison. Let's bring her into the family, and you're like, yeah, I'll train her up myself. This would be great.
I love that.
Yeah, they throw you in prison. Flinrich vouched for it, and I'm like,
yeah, I'll make friends with Flinrich in prison. That's what then you're like, oh yeah,
the one to like when you went and got that drug, you could have like they could have been like, all right, in exchange for this, how are we going to get in? And you could have been like, Flinrich is in prison. You should throw someone in there and get them together. Like that could have been your idea.
You rat! You Luke Blasi rat! You
get her in prison. She'll get out, and I'll offer to train her. Yeah. It'll be
but that is like kind of contradictory to the whole like honor thing. Like I'm wondering if we're going too far down a rabbit hole from like what you're going to like later. You know.
Yeah, maybe you think you can turn me. Maybe I'm not super happy with my current family.
Or it got away from you.
Or it got away from you. I mean, like these things do, right? Like, I
think that's the thing. Like, he's an old guy.
Slope, right?
He thought that he was dealing with a respected rival who understood,
right?
And then suddenly it was
double cross.
But I do think that this. I mean, just God, you guys know, what the characters I play. There's going to be a part of Saldore who thinks that he's going to be able to. That if he trains up Drixel, that he's going to be able to turn her.
And she and you're like so pure that like you're like the bond of the family is so strong that once she feels that, she won't be able to turn against it. Like that's how you genuinely feel. Right. So you're like feel safe doing it.
And then again, at that end of the day, if we all say, you know what, we're the new family, then that gets, it gets interesting. It's
real interesting because then it's two families. Yeah,
we've turned against two families to get this, to do this heist. Like I say, and that's probably the sad part. This probably all unfolds like by episode 2 before we even get into the heist. This is all literally going to be our couple of backstory ones. I mean, I'm sure people are watching. They're like, well, they've already told us the whole story. It's like, no, it's 20 episodes, and we're probably covering what's going to be covered, knowing Will, in like episode. That's going to get us to level 3, maybe level 2.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, before the heist, before we even know what the job is, everything we've discussed is probably going to already be out.
Like, I love how all of our stories are like, and then this traumatic thing is going to happen, and I'm going to be broken. I can't wait. Just like set me on fire, like spit on me, just break me, break every limb, please. Like,
I was going to say,
why are we doing this?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's see. People who've listened to Turncloaks or watched Project Athena, or I mean, let's just list off
Sleeper Agent B. Never. I would never betray or infiltrate it.
I mean,
it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I want to know a little bit. Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, and touch upon that, like, as of course, learn by play and teaching and anything like that. I guess a tip you could take even just from that fun statement is to find either a weakness and play into it, or look for conflict and play into the conflict and be ready for that. And like, because there's going to be character development, and it's just leaving those hooks open for your GM or whoever else is just a wonderful way to give yourself the development later.
That's it. I mean, like, and leaving questions unanswered as well is fantastic for me as a GM, because I can be like, great, I'm going to use this little bit here, I'm going to use that a little bit there. And that's what Session Zero really usually is for me, especially because we've all played together for a long time. It's less so like, let's set the boundaries of what we enjoy playing. Let's figure out like how we play games, because as a group, we already pretty much know that. From having been, traumatized and Stockholmed into playing with one another.
Right.
It's more so like, what kind of story are we gonna? What kind of story do we want to tell? And
I never yell at the monitor at you for 2 hours. Will, I've never done that before.
I love it.
I've never burst out crying and ends up like ordering a pizza. My one pizza a year usually happens like after Turncloaks.
Yeah, and the Oreos and peanut butter.
I've never cried in the shower after playing in a game with y'all. That's fine.
What are you talking about?
Just a cry in the shower.
I'm just gonna go in the shower.
Yeah, but I really like what Myth is saying, because like I think all of us here are GMs, and so like from like a GM perspective, it's like it's so cool when there's like conflict that you didn't create, you didn't do like. I guess like the tip is like, don't completely rely on your GM to create like controversial or like different NPCs for you to fight with.
To create
like
drama.
There's to create drama. Like, because however this party came to be, like presumably some of you were thrown together somehow. And I doubt you're going to have the exact same morals and ideals and goals as everybody, the 5, 6, 7 people that are in your party. So like, let that go, let that fly. Like, buck up to people. Like, that's in Wonder Quest, which is the podcast that I GM. Like, there's character conflict all the time. Like Astrid and Dell, which is played by Allison and Amy, have just like at episode 30 have just been like, we can set aside our differences for a little bit, just a second, and then I swear to God, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, and then also, and like, you'll be 10 episodes in, and then something will happen, and you just be like, brought this upon myself. This is
here it is. Here's that moment.
I forgot about until
I forgot about that, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
One thing I did want to dive back into and to get more of Lindy's perspective on is, so this other family then, we know that there's like a contact there with Sal, who's an old friend, but I like the idea as well that maybe they're going through like a similar thing. So like this guy is an old friend and he's like, I make this deal on good faith with Sal, but he gets pushed by a younger... Actually, you've got this old contact. We're going to screw these guys over and you're going to make him do this because he owes you one. What do you think Drexel's role is in that other family? And what do you think the family looks like as a whole? They don't just have to be bad guys.
Yeah, they don't have to be bad guys. Well, if the family is we'll say call it the main family. The main family. We need names for these guys. The main family does a lot of racketeering and smuggling and drugs, and their fronts a restaurant. Maybe I didn't break anything.
That's the restaurant. It's the fettuccine.
It's the fettuccine. It fell on the floor.
Order up.
Coming out. That's coming out of your paycheck.
Cats. Completely derailed my train of thought. Thank you. Let's see. Maybe they would be something related, like maybe they did more import-export. Like maybe they kind of with some of the smuggling. They were more like mercantile. They're less, oh yes, we use the restaurant. They're like, we've got these shops, we have these businesses, we're into textiles, we're into this. And maybe they deal more in trade, fine goods, that kind of thing. Like, oh, you want that silk from such and such place? I got a guy who can get it to you, for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. So
and maybe I would use more for infiltration, because I'm a sneaky, I'm a monk, I'm real quiet.
Right.
Like infiltration and muscle.
I like the idea that maybe
information broker.
They sell
information broker.
Information, but also like you say, fine goods. It's like, oh, you want that dinosaur from Chult? We can get you one. Yeah, because you can't legally get it into the city, but
endangered, but we can get you that. And so I'd probably be the person who comes along when they're going to talk, and I just kind of stand in the back and look menacing. And then they go out, they sign the paper, and then I go in and I like double check their work or snag something. Real sneaky.
It may also be that Drexel isn't there to destroy the family from the inside. It may be just like an intel. We want to know what they're up to.
Get information.
Tolstoy's having a thought. Go.
They're looking for the lost shipment as well.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And Drexel's there to get it out of this character. Yeah.
Drexel is there to get it out of Myth. She's biding her time for when he...
because maybe they had some members on this crew as well on this mission.
The whole fleet.
Going for it, and their crews didn't come back.
Because if they do a lot of high-end import-export, they'd have a ship. Yeah. Maybe it was their ship, but Myth's character was like the main family's guy.
Well, or even both, or maybe even both were like you say, it was a race.
Whatever it get it first. And like everybody died, and somehow we got lucky enough to have one come back.
Died.
And so everyone wants what Myth knows.
That's sick.
But doesn't remember.
Myth somehow knows deep in there.
I love that.
I want to give you this as like something that your character. I mean, not even be something I should tell you now, but it's gonna be cool. I can actually. Would be something like. Your character knows that they found something else. They were looking for the shipment. They got the shipment, but something else was also found. And what that is, we'll bring into the story.
Alien technology.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You found...
like if this was like a cutscene, it would be like someone sending some sort of transmission that was like, boss, you gotta see this. And then a gust of wind comes up and like everybody dies and no one knows what it is.
Yeah, the sails flip around. Yeah. You got to see it's not now. We got a wave ahead.
The interrupted sending spell. Something
because the person just got struck by lightning
on the other end of that sending spell.
Right. Who was he sending it?
Flinrich, when he still had his wizarding, he would have been on the other end of the sending spell. That's what they were trying to get out. They were trying to get the partial location from Flinrich in prison, and that's what he refused to give him, and that's what burned him out.
This is scene one.
This is why you have a session 0.
Yes,
I promise you, you're going to have an amazing show. an amazing game. If you have a session 0, everybody has context. Everybody knows what's going on, but there's still things to figure out. And I think that's amazing. Instead of going, we have no context between each other. Here's a tavern. We now have a set theme and structure for what we're doing.
And you kind of understand your relationship and with everyone else. Like you kind of like, it's not so much like you meet this person and you're like, oh, I don't really know how to act. Like you kind of know their goals, their, for like the better term, their alignment. And so like you kind of know how you're going to respond to them, and you can jump into that really good role play way faster because you already know all that stuff.
You know, and that just helped me out a lot from being so much of a dishonor as just a, hey, they were both racing for it anyway. You know, it's I'm not.
It's just a race again.
Another family. It's just a race again of whether Ramsey, you know, whether Ramsey gets it first or you know, I'm right here to intercept it as soon as it's gotten. You know, it's you know, I mean, you know, there's probably even
still
something
be like,
that
I could probably convince Drexel to be on this family side. Like you could still have that thing where it's like, you know, if I train her up.
Gotta
write stuff down.
Well, one of the Hobgoblin's things. Oh, go ahead.
But basically, like, you know, probably in the back of his mind, he could be thinking, like, well, if she finds out, I can always kill her before she tells him.
That too.
Right. You know, like, there's that. If you can't turn her and it becomes
Challenger.
like.
Really interesting. I was just looking at Hobgoblin again. One of their big driving things is reward glorious action. Hobgoblins never deny advancement in status to a banner that has earned it. And so if she earned it, he'd let her walk with it. Whether it's our family or theirs.
Right. Yeah.
Because he is about if she gets it first, he would let her walk because that's his racial honor, not even the family honor. That's
yeah. That's his
like
real family honor.
Out of being a rat. You're a rat.
an old burnt out mage.
Damn you.
I love that Greg's like, oh, you should do this. You should portray him in this way. And then 5 seconds later, he's like, oh, man, you're a rat.
I can't believe you agreed to my idea.
Do it. I hate you.
I feel like everybody's going to be coming to arrange for something. Like Saldore wants like the younger pill, but he's getting that for someone else. And like Flinrich is like wants the magic pill, and like Mid's character wants memory.
Right.
Just
I just want to know where everything is.
I'm making friends.
He wants riches, but also, yeah.
This is my
I think
first
he wants
time.
riches, but he also, I think he wants riches, but he also has that secret. He's here for working for more work.
Right.
And like he's like, okay, yeah, we have a job. Great, let's do it. I'll do that job. Sure. I don't have a crew anymore because my crew's gone. And then everybody else is just like, okay, yeah, hang out with us until you please tell me where this shipment. We should figure out what that is. Like where our goods are. And I'm like, yeah, okay, great. About whatever, like to him it's lost, it doesn't matter, but there's new riches in this next job. He's looking at it as the riches for the job, the honor for the job, the glory for the job, but everybody else is looking at him as we still need to know what's going on in there, like what your memories and stuff.
Myth, your guy would know where it is. Yeah, your thing would know. Your guy would know where it is, and Flinrich would know what that "we found something else" boss is, but he has no idea where it is. So he received the spell, the sending spell. They gave him the partial, here's this mystery X that we found, and you would know where you went down, but you can't remember. But if you put both of our things together, we would know what it is and where it is. But Flinrich has been in prison for 10 years to not tell anybody, so that'll be interesting getting it out of him, we'll say.
Well, how long do you think Myth's character's been gone? I mean, 10 years.
10 years is fine.
Yeah,
10 years is fine.
Yeah, he's been gone years, like almost forgotten. He's
like people
missing.
And he washes up.
He's like an old legend probably at this point. Like the story about the shipment is one that's run through the family. Is like, this is our ticket out of here. Like, you know, this is our ticket back into the big time. It's become a myth.
the El Dorado.
You know, it's
it's
been built up so much. It's like, this is the way that we find fame and glory again, and this is how we get it all back. If only this person were back. And of course, they never expect them to ever come
If
back.
only we ever found if we only ever found it, we would be on the map. Yeah. And then he shows up. And then
in the meantime, there's this dragon heist that shows up.
I know.
yeah, exactly.
But I was going to say
go ahead.
something that I don't think we've touched on really yet is like, okay, so we know that like Flinrich got caught and so he was in prison, but like what exactly was he caught doing? Was it something like that had to do with this missing thing? Like what was it that was like so bad and you were alone and you got caught and thrown into prison for 10 years? Like what was
he
it?
has his theories.
And had your curse and had the curse bestowed upon you. Not just the 10-year sentence, also burned away from
Right. Here's the
Was he
thing.
framed?
Who took his seat? The young kid took his seat.
Oh.
And he was sent in to, he took the fall for it. And the powers that be pushed him out. He didn't turn
that like maybe you were training the young kid, like maybe it wasn't even like a twisted bad backstabby thing, like you were training this young kid and like he fucked up somehow and like you knew that he was going to be in trouble and like flew too close to the sun and so you took the fall for him,
right?
Because you knew he wouldn't be able to handle what he was about to see if he got thrown into that prison.
I have to think about it because I like that one better, Sid, but I'm wondering if Flinrich is a nice enough guy to do that.
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm thinking Greg loves it. Flinrich.
Like the other
feel
side
free to
of
be
that
too,
is,
like,
the other side of that is like you were given a choice. Like, hey man, you're gonna take this fall, like for the honor of the family, like just so you know you're gonna be doing that, and you're gonna go to jail for a time, but we're gonna get you out in the end. But like, just so you know, if you don't do that, of course you're gonna turn up dead. But like it
don't
will
want
have
that,
been like
because they think this new kid is like too valuable.
Right. Or he could be like blood family, like he's actually a son of
actually a son.
A matriarch of the family.
Yeah.
Too
I'm
precious.
surrounded by rats. I'm surrounded by rats.
You work in the mob.
You work in the mob. That's Will's.
I got to talk to my guidance counselor. I made terrible decisions in school. Right.
But it's kind of an interesting thing. You are a burnt out mage, but you're also burned out. Everyone has betrayed you.
Well, that just puts him. Yeah, that puts him on his own. And if there's going to be somebody that I'm not advocating my character do this, but I'm saying if there's ever going to be somebody that says, hey, listen, I'm an example. This is the best you can hope for if you continue along with either of these families. We've got a chance to not have to deal with them ever again. Right. Here's my proposition. And
I love it.
And I'm
Danny
loving, and I am loving the he's like a surrogate son. He's like Mordred, and you're Arthur in that kind of like power dynamic. Like he's rising power, and now he like runs this family. But you taught him everything you knew. Oh man, it's actually no, it's not that. It's Dragonheart, and you are. But what's the guy's name? And then the evil prince rises.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, his name is
I'll never come up with it.
Professor Lupin.
I know.
Lupin.
Professor Lupin. Yeah. Someone in chat remind us. But yeah, that would be. You guys get on. You guys. That sounds like a super cool and interesting way to have Flimrich involved. It's like this inside the family, but he's been out of it so long that he's barely still a part of it. And he's been sort of busted out, or maybe he just served his time. Maybe he wasn't broken.
Yeah, I feel like probably maybe he just served his time. But Drexel's there to catch him up on stuff, and they just because she got a short sentence and they knew they'd be leaving on the same time. Like my imprisonment was super specific. Like the sentence for this many days. And if you go in, make friends with,
And what if like the son of the family or the daughter of the family, whoever it was your protege, Flinrich, promised you that they'd get you out really soon, and like you wouldn't be serving a long sentence, you'd never serve it all, but you've served like 10 years. Like this has been way too long. So we've got all these different factions and loyalties and alliances going in throughout the families.
My vision for him too is when he went in, he was the prototypical portly, stout halfling wizard. And when he comes out, he is just ripped. Like he has no belly.
Yeah.
He's still 3 feet tall, but he's broad. He's covered in prison tats, like head shaved. And he's just,
Oh, yeah.
I have an idea.
Ripped.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what if, because he's like, we'll get you out soon, we'll get you out soon, and they never did it. What if the family I'm from is the one who got Flinrich out, but we just don't tell him? And then the family, the young son kid's kind of just like, oh, you're out. And everyone's just like, yeah, I served my time. My sentence is done. Yeah.
I love it. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay.
That's why another reason I'm there is like, yeah, I'm part of your family. Your sentence is up. Let's go. But Tall Squall would know that it's just another, because he knows something about the shipment as well. So they would want both pieces of the puzzle to be
right.
there.
Of course they would. Yeah.
But I'm thinking, what if part of Lindy's or Drexel's family has infiltrated like the police force? So you don't do anything to get thrown into prison. They put you there.
They put me there, and they make sure we get us out on the same day. Yeah.
And what if part of your family was the one who did the interrogation on Flinrich and like stuck all's magic out? They wanted to know because it was a race. It was like, all's fair in love and war, and that was the deal.
Yeah. We just can't tell Flinrich, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm part of the mob. This is what's getting you caught up. You're about to get out of here. I got it. I'm like, I heard something, and you get out.
You're all rats.
And Tall Skull knows, but he can't say anything because it's part of the favor.
Right.
Yeah.
No. And
did 10 years for you people.
Dude,
yeah, because the rich family had no intention of getting Flinrich out.
Yeah.
Right. Dude. The whole whatever, or somehow this is tied in. The reason they burned the magic out of you as punishment, but because they never wanted you using a magic item that's critical to finding the shipment.
Right.
Since you can't even use magical items. It was done with purpose.
Oh, so then when that happened, you were then made useless to this family.
That's why they don't care.
That's why they never got you out.
They don't care anymore. Yeah.
They don't care anymore. You don't have the power, so you're not able to go find it. Pointless. And they never get you out.
Tragic hero, and you're all rats.
Oh my god, Flinrich is gonna have like a mental breakdown when like all of this comes to light.
When all of it comes to light.
Oh, but dude, think about that moment of turning. Think of that. I mean, this is when we all as players and DMs, that moment when Flinrich gets to do the it's me. That's where you're headed. This is all you can hope for.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I adore that scene, and it's like it's not even happened yet.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait.
And he's like a made man, right? Like Flinrich is like he's sworn into the family, that he is a symbol of power within your organization, whereas not all of you probably are sworn in family members. Certainly not.
Flinrich set out on good behavior. What?
Right. Just let him go because he's useless now and he served his sentence. And then the rival family are like, hey, we need Drexel to be trusted in the family. Flinrich is an old, power in the family. Like,
we'll make sure he gets out of prison on good behavior. Like, he may have had the worst behavior in prison, but that's the excuse that the Bane family gets. It's like, why is he out early? He was supposed to be in there for another 10 years.
Because Myth's characters return, right?
Yes, and they can put them together, and now they have an alchemist who might be able to get him his magic back, and so he suddenly could be useful again. But the only people that know all of this
Ramsey's
are
supplying everybody
Saldor
with
and
hopes.
Drexel.
Yeah.
Saldor and Drexel.
Yeah, I hope that Flinrich and Miff's character being back together, reminds Miff's character
Something sparks.
of the spark, and they can use Drexel to get that information. It's twisted, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Flinrich might be the only one who's able to jog his memory, because
twisted, but
Flinrich is
cool.
the only one who knows what the thing is.
Yep.
The only
like
one, because I'm not a rat and nobody ever heard it from my lips.
And maybe that's what made you a made man. Maybe that's what made you a made man, is you served your time and you didn't rat, and now you are out with a promotion and a bonus. And now you are known as as this made man because you were loyal this whole time.
I think being the made man, and then like Will said, being forgotten, being thrown in there, and this usurper was able to convince the other made guys, the other wise guys in there, he can't help us anyway, he's safe enough in there, we can keep him,
he'll never turn. I know him, he'll never turn. But he's also useless to us because his magic's been burnt out. And then the rival family here, that Miff's characters return. They leverage this opportunity with Tulsquill's character, Sal, to get Drexel in. They then bring Flinrich back in and are like, maybe let's all bring up a memory for Miff's character, and then boom, they get the information and the race is back on again for whatever it was that they found. So that all links together super nicely. Something worth noting, I guess, is that... Sorry?
I was going to say, what was our shipment and what's our name?
Yeah, I'm always... we need to find some family names.
We need a name.
A family name, for sure. That's not something we have to come up with on the spot. Yeah, it's not something I have to come up with on the spot. We could do that between session 0 and session 1.
Right.
Something I was going to say is that if you're doing your session series at home, we've obviously played together for a long time, and we're all fine with like killing one another's characters or conflicts and stuff like that. But I guess not every party maybe want to have an experience.
As many convoluted and twisted things that we're throwing in.
Right. We've obviously played together for like several years, and this is the kind of stories that we like to tell. But it may not be the type of story that you at home like to tell. So. Feel free to have parties that are all
criminal.
Right, I have to play criminals. But we played like 2 seasons of playing the nice guys, right? And we're like, all right, this will be fun to and we've spice it up. We've played together long enough that there's no hard feelings. So when we inevitably come to blows, but I don't think it's the
it's that and the Stockholm.
Right, yeah, that obviously helps. I don't think we've set it up in such a way that our characters are likely just to murder one another. It doesn't seem like we're going to throw them together and like, they're just going to kill each other, and then that's done.
It's just a no honor amongst thieves kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
I also think that,
there's plenty of betrayals are expected in your business in a way, right?
Yeah. Since we all know each other really well, outside of this game, like just or at least to have like a lot of respect for each other as like people and creators and role players, like we kind of have like an open discussion policy. So if something does happen in the game that's like a little bit too much even for us, like none of us have any problem with reaching out and saying, hey, when this happened, I was a little like, it kind of freaked me out a little bit, like I don't really like this turn. Before it goes any further, can we like work it out? Because we've done that in Turncloaks. We've done that in Wonder Quest. I'm sure you guys have done that in Call of Cthulhu. Like, you have to do that, especially when you're taking it this far. Have y'all not done it in Call of Cthulhu? Is that why y'all?
No, we just take it.
Just take it. They know better than that, dude. They know better than that.
But I think the bottom line of it
babies,
is trust. I think we all trust Will as our DM, and trust, even more importantly, each other as players, and trust the story creation process and the collaboration that when we set each other up, when we create these conflicts, that we'll be able to work with each other to not just be an argument that then we leave at an impasse of the, hey, we can work, D&D is improv. we never, I don't think, because we trust each other, we get into yes and the I'm going to steer this way. Oh, they're going to steer it back that way. And so, when Flinrich finds out that Saldore, basically brought another family member in here, it's going to be this great scene. Or, when I finally tell Ramsey that she's a dishonorable, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, and she's like, "You're one, you're one to talk." You say you hate this scam, but you're using. You've done the same thing. So it's trust. You've got to be with people that you trust and trust as players and trust as storytellers. Mm-hmm. That one of us isn't going to undermine or torpedo someone else's story in the process of telling our own.
Mm-hmm. Right, and it's a thing that you get from having played together for a while. I think is that trust comes with just having done it before and taking risks, and then both being rewarded for taking those risks. And it's at a point where we know at this point that when the conflict comes, it's going to add to everyone's story rather than detract from anyone else's, I think.
Yeah, we implement that conflict because we know it's going to propel us forward. Like, we don't do it because we want to send the story back. We do it because we know each other and we know that it's going to, propel it 10 times forward.
It's not a thing where you guys are scheming away and then you come to the table and blindside me and it's like, well, we're not doing any of this.
Right.
Well, screw you. We're just going to do our own thing. And I'm like, well, what's going on?
That's the worst. Don't do that.
In the finale, Greg.
Finale, right? But you know me well enough to say too. I can roll with that, right? That's cool.
Yeah. That's right. You know him well enough that you can roll with it. Yeah.
Well, I can say I expect the blindside from Greg. I'm waiting for it. I'm just waiting for the stupid thing that he does, and I'm like, cool, yeah, there it is. That's the thing.
That's the one.
Listen, man, I'm a gunslinger. I'm gonna meet you in the street, and we're gonna draw. You're gonna win. I'm gonna win. Something's gonna happen, and it's usually me pulling out like a chicken, and you pulling out a gun because my stuff's always good. But what I was saying too is, we know each other a lot, and we've worked and played with each other, and that trust issue that pops up. Don't be scared of that when that moment comes in your table, when you're sitting down with somebody else and you're a session in, 2 sessions in, 3 sessions in, start working with that and playing back and forth with each character in a scene. One of the best things about last season, I thought, was, there was a moments where we would click up between the separate characters, but every time you have a group of, especially an odd number of characters, when you're able to have maybe 2 or 3 that haven't been together for a while, go off and create a story that's influenced by their view of things that have gone on with the other PCs or NPCs. It's fantastic. And I think in that moment, when you have new encounters and new pairings, that's when that trust can really start, when you're playing around with characters that might be untrustworthy, or the characters themselves are kind of working through the same thing. That's the number one thing. You're passing a ball in that old drama test, and it's a trust fall, and it's the best thing about D&D is you get to know people, their characters, their likes, their dislikes, their play styles. But I'm going to tell you this: Squall said, whenever Flinrich finds out about it, that's going to be an interesting day. That's going to be oh my God, why is there a knife sticking out of my stomach, and why is Flinrich holding it type of day. We're going to see how that goes.
Yeah.
So I can't wait. And by the way, Will, my whole point on all of this is you talk about stuff and how we can plan stuff and do stuff. I'm looking around at everybody when another person's talking and I see them doing stuff. You're going to get barraged with DMs about, hey, I'm going to do this, but I don't want anybody else to know about this.
Please don't tell this person.
I see all these dungeon masters around here, and they're all going. I see them when I see eyes shift, and I see sparkles.
You see yourself looking down, typing really fast. I'm writing a note. No one pay attention. It's an email to my dentist. Don't look. Just whatever.
Right. It's just like the prototypical cartoon light bulb that bing goes off, and everybody, I can use that, and I can kill Squall's character. But everybody's, it's going to be something. So
yeah. But I think like another thing, like in addition to all of this, like to hone it and to wrap that up is like I don't mind admitting, like, I've tried to do some stuff and tried to pull some stuff that has totally flopped. Just absolutely fall on my face. Yeah. Like, no one connects with it. Like, I go on a monologue and everyone is like, all right, can we go to bed now? Like, that's happened. Like, where, like, it just didn't, like, resonate the way I thought it would. It didn't play out the way I thought it would. People didn't react the way I thought it would as a DM, as a player. And, like, you kind of get to the point where you just, like, bounce back from that. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, don't be afraid to, like, push yourself to do something. And so you can build that trust, and you build the trust that you're not afraid to mess up because, no one cares. Like, oh, well, it flopped. It didn't stick the way you wanted to. That's okay. Like, everyone's chill, and no one is going to go home to someone and be like, you're not going to believe the total flop that happened today. So, like, right. I think another thing is that we have the trust to fail in front of each other. Like, that's why it works so well, is because, like, we don't care. We don't care if it totally flops and, like, it just doesn't go how we wanted, because that it's the beauty of the game.
Yeah, you have to take those risks to build that trust. And inherent in taking risks is the potential that there won't be anyone there to catch you. And that it might, oops, wait, but I was risking with this guy when you were risking with me. Oh, yeah. Sid, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. But
that's
you come back from it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it's easy to bounce back from that. Yeah, still just a game. Right. And so like, we've gotten to the point now where, like, I think all really good at picking up on each other. So, like, that happens less than it has in the past. But it still happens. So, like, if you're ever watching a stream or listening to a podcast and you're like, wow, like, they never miss a beat, they, like, are really on it, like, it hasn't always been that way. It has not. Right, like, the reason we have that vibe is because we've been doing this with each other for literally years. Literally. So, and with podcasts, so, like, all of it is edited. So I guess, like, that's my statement here, is that if you're watching this because you want to learn how to play and how to DM, and you think it's never going to be how it is on a stream, yes, it will. It'll be even better because it's with your story and your people. Yeah, exactly.
I think as well, session 0.
Right, yeah, it was session 0. I think as well, like, what we're doing today is not something that I would do with a group of people I've never met before, in terms of, like, I'm going to run a game in which we're all going to be a little bit against each other. Like, I've seen that tried. I've tried that myself, and it just didn't work as well, because, like, you just don't have that same level of trust with people that you've never met before. And session 0 is a great for building some of that. But I do think that you have more potential to have some difficulties when you try that straight away, rather than when you build up to it. Unless, like, everyone at the table is really feeling that, like, that's something you can totally build as well. Like, are you guys really feeling like doing a villainous sort of campaign? If everyone isn't, great. But especially if you've never met the people before, it's,
What's really great about this is we're making, we as players are creating a backstory, a living backstory, where we, honestly, if we didn't want to play Dragon Heist, we don't have to. We could play the backstory and just do that. But the fact is, this is super cool because we're going into it already with context and with what our goals are, because we are. It's almost as if we've set a story already, and then there's going to be something added into it, which the DM will then provide. And then from there, we just have all this meaty plot and story that we could then have. Because with this story that we've created today, and with the lore that we've created collaboratively together here today, we have all of that our characters can pull from when interacting with the new offers from the Dungeon Master. We still have that as a resource that we could then pluck and be like, well, my character was once blah, blah, blah. This relationship that we have here, I think this is how my character would then respond, because we already have this established lore and role play and everything like that. So
Well, I thought for the Dungeon Master, it's fantastic because like when I get an adventure, I talked about this before, but when I get an adventure module, it's like, great, here's like the bare bones of some ideas that I'd like to take, and I like that bit, and I like that bit, and I don't want to use that bit. And we end up using maybe like 20, 30% of the actual content of the modules when we do these series. Because like I find that I and the players become even more invested in like your own stories. And then like I can be like, here's a little bit of plot over here, and like it still weaves into the narrative that we all want to tell. Which isn't I want to play through the story that's been written beforehand, which contextually doesn't have too much to do with my character, but anyone could fit into it, which is fine. It's fun. I like to do that for one shots and stuff because it's easy. But with like long campaigns with 20 episodes here, it's nice to be able to be like, this is a story that we've all created together to some extent, and I'm just filling in the blanks. It's easier, and everyone I think enjoys it more. Certainly, I love that as a player because it's like. The modules are great, fantastic, and so much content in them. But I think they really are just for pick and choosing your favorite bits and rolling with what the party want to do. So that's something you get a great feel for. Like already, I can think in my head of certain chapters that we're not going to cover because I don't think they're really going to work for what the story is that we're going to be telling. And already I can think of several chapters and scenes where I'm like, fantastic, we're
really
definitely going to use that there, and so it's all over a good thing. Did we have any ideas for names before we any ideas at all? What'd you got?
No, Yaz and I agree.
The Fettuccine family.
Tonaricis, we can get these good Italian names. Sadore Tonarici.
Like that.
Is it going to be like it
doesn't have to be Italian.
Like the same last name, or is it going to be just like our gang name? You know what I mean?
I think. I don't think I don't think everyone in the family has the same last name, and I don't think Saldore is a member of the blood family. I was just
right.
I
think
but you're associated with,
the power structure looking something like these three members who are like blood. Two of them older, maybe like a mother and father. Who are like the old schoolers that you guys who are older might know, and then like the young up and comer, the protege who's Flimrich taught, who is now basically rising to power because the elders are like kind of too old to be working in the business so much anymore, and maybe have less interest in the family because they've gotten rich off the fettuccine business. And it's probably a case where you've got like a family name, which is like this is the family, but also like a street gang name, like you guys are known, like the Peaky Blinders, like that kind of deal.
I'm just reading gang/clan name generator on fantasynamegenerators.com.
There you go.
Yep. Fantasy name generator.
Read them out.
What about the blood family? What about like Lucian family?
Lucian, I like that. That's a cool name.
The Denim Mammoths. This is one on
Mammoths.
Denim Mammoths.
There we go.
Just like a mammoth wearing like jeans.
The Denim Mammoths. It's like
these
tunnel
sound like
snakes.
band names.
What size are your jeans?
I like Lucian.
Mammoth.
Yeah.
Mammoth.
The Nameless is
no, come right in.
42
Come right
mammoth.
in.
Right.
42 mammoth, you say. Lever pulled, secret entrance.
Yeah, right.
I'm so sorry. The Fire Crocodile Posse.
We have
good.
it.
Yes. No, we are not the Fire
Yeah.
Crocodile Posse.
Here comes the FCP.
The Cobalt Toad.
Yeah, you know me.
The Onyx
Yeah, you know
Crocs. The Onyx Crocs.
Amazing.
We all wear very uncomfortable footwear.
We all wear Crocs.
Super scary footwear.
No.
You guys are there. They intimidate their enemies with their footwear. I think maybe what we'll do is we'll throw some names into a hat in our group chat between now and session 1. I like the idea of the Lucians being like the family name. But we'll throw some more around as well. The other thing I wanted to touch on before we wrapped up here in like however long it is we have left, 10-15 minutes or so, was to talk about your influence in the like the political and the power structure of Waterdeep, such like the Guard Force, like whether you guys have contacts that you'd like to talk about now, like NPCs. We talked about Sal having an NPC contact in another family, but maybe you guys having a friend in the Guard Force, or like the college of mages or whatever organization that you guys think you might have someone that's either a friend or maybe a nemesis in another group that I can start writing those characters before session 1 and fleshing them out a little bit.
Can Flinrich have the Blackstaff? He would have been a contemporary of who's it now? Jazeera? Who's the I always think Kelvin Blackstaff, but whoever the Blackstaff is now, that's who I think he would.
Yeah. Cool. And is that like a friend situation, or is that a
respected adversary? Because with the noble nature of the Blackstaff being part of the Waterdeep protection structure, this would have been more of a we'll sit down and have coffee every month to make sure that we don't kill each other, and here's what I'll do and here's what you'll do, and Waterdeep will stay blood free.
Maybe you guys had like an old accord, which you're not sure if like still holds because it's been 10 years. So maybe you had like an old deal which maybe lasted for a year or 6 months or some period of time, and then alliances have to be reforged or they are broken. So that could be kind of neat to have some kind of deal that was on the table, but maybe that's no longer a thing because the scene has changed so much since when Flimrich was there.
Mm-hmm.
Like sound like that. What about Ramsey? Ramsey must have some like friend in like some kind of alchemist college, maybe, or an enemy.
I have a couple ideas. Like, one idea is like, an original like professor, whoever like taught her, how to make everything. Another idea was whoever was her like superior when she worked at like a hospital, who like oversaw everything. That was another idea. And then the last idea that I had was for like whenever the like intermediate period where she got out of like the medical field and was transitioning into black market medicine, like who did she meet before she met the family that like made her someone who was reputable enough for the family to recruit?
Right. I think that the answer to that is an NPC idea I've been throwing around is like a fence who doesn't work for any family in particular, but is sort of a go-to person who can fence a lot of items, similar to what probably filled the gap like 10 years ago when Myth's character was LaFence and has now passed on and left the city, fate unknown, and this new character stepped in about 10 years ago as a sort of in between. Everyone trusts this person because they'll never rat you out, but owes no allegiances to any one particular family. I think there's an NPC idea there who's a fence who recognized the value of your work and maybe even appraised, like valued your work, and is like, to the family, the Lucians or whoever we end up naming them, like you can trust this person to create like quality product. Like you maybe can't trust them on a personal level, but like the quality is good. I also like the idea about the professor. Maybe someone who's turned their back on you now that they see what's happening on the streets, and they can probably recognize your handiwork or like their own handiwork within yours. Someone who's a master of their trade can recognize like these are the same components and strategies and tactics that I use in my alchemy. They're being used to so it's like a professor who taught you who's maybe turned their back on you. Now I like that idea. Cool. What about you, Sal? We've obviously got this old rival family.
So I think, so is this different from my friend in the rival family, or is this someone more of influence in Waterdeep just because he's been in Waterdeep for so long? Sure. I kind of like the idea. I kind of like the idea that, Sal gets around. He's been, a mainstay probably since even when he was like, the young kid and around. And I can't think of his name off the top of my head. The guy who owns the Yawning Portal, the rumor guy.
Duran, Devin. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that Sal, Sal and him have go way back. The guy who I can look at. Yeah, and him go way back. He when he needs to know what's going on in the rumors of the city and how things are shifting, that, Sal brings over a pot of meatballs or something, and brings over some fettuccine and some meatballs, and treats him to dinner, or something along those lines. Comes over and cooks at the yawning portal, and gets a little bit gets the skinny on what's going on.
Cool. I like that idea. Yeah, Dan is definitely around, and contact to like a fairly neutral contact. Donan is like the most neutral person, and it gets really, he's like quest giver 101. Like he'll work with probably most people, or at least knows about most people. So definitely a source of information. I like that. And then we've got the old rival family member who made the sort of blood hunter deal.
Deal.
With Sal, cool. What about your good self, Lindy? Obviously, you have rival family contacts. Maybe there's a person in charge to whom your allegiance, or maybe even like family members.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was sitting here pondering, because she's an Aasimar. She's half celestial, half something else.
Right.
Maybe one of the heads of the family kind of had a little dalliance at church one day, and then, Drexel.
You're like the bastard born daughter? Cool. Like a bit of a disgrace, maybe, upon the family bloodline, because they probably really care about bloodlines like an actual nobility. Like they see themselves as aristocracy, despite not truly being it. So they really care about blood,
especially since they deal in such high-end products and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Cool.
So
the idea that celestial blood is not as good is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a bit of an embarrassment to them.
So a bit of embarrassment. They're like, they never allow me to go.
Right. Right. And so you're sent off. Maybe
that's why I'm sent off to be gold, because it's like, well, I mean, I guess she is a blood, so, but this also gets her out, so she's not visible in a disgrace. And
right. Yeah, I love that.
So we
idea.
trust her
cool.
because, you're later, but we don't really want her around here.
Sure, yeah, like she's not gonna turn on us because, like, they're probably arrogant enough to assume that
because she owes us everything.
Right? Yeah. You owe us. You're like the Jon Snow of this family, right? Like you're bastard born, but allowed to live with the noble family, almost like aristocracy, but always half a step below the true born sons and daughters.
And maybe I rebelled a little bit and made a couple like friends in the Thieves Guild, and I was like, look, I got tattoos, and they're just like, ugh.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing. Like,
we're gonna have to tattoo over that now.
Yeah, I know.
I also do kind of like the Thieves Guild as like the corporate Thieves Guild. Like people see the Thieves Guild and they're like, oh yeah, everything's done by the Thieves Guild. It's easy. We can just do that. But the families and the other gangs and stuff who don't associate with the Thieves Guild, because the Thieves Guild is too open about what they're doing. They're a celebrity status. And people always point to them, which is good because they're the flash powder that we in the underworld use. They're the distraction. They upstage us so we can work in the shadows.
Yeah. That's another reason I'm all way at the shadows, is because it's like, they don't really want me to be seen. I'll just hang back here. It's cool. Yes.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's super cool. Okay. Myth, you must have some old buddies or enemies in Waterdeep who are still alive, presumably, after 10 years of gang wars and fights.
Right.
If you were a fence, you probably knew most people who were anyone.
True.
True. Does he have family that he left behind? Like, was
that'd be
cool. Husband,
wife, or a husband,
husband. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah. Trying to think, because I want to play him like
So what about, so we're going with a bit of a Pirates of the Caribbean thing. Will Young, not Will Young, that's a totally different person. Will Turner. Man, if Will Young was in Pirates, Will Turner, like you know, spoiler alert, Felicia with Fire Two, like cuts out his own heart and has to spend 10 years away from Keira Knightley's character, and like chooses the sea over the home. And there's also like the Bill Turner thing where he was a father and a husband, but was always out to sea. It could be a similar thing like that. Like you have like a family back home in Waterdeep, but you're never there. You know,
I was
like,
always
you know, and you're like, you know that they exist and presumably they're still alive, but you know, it's been a thing where you're very distant from that connection, and your family was more of your family. The mob was
right.
Was you
like I fell in love once. I had a family once, and I was a father once, and then the sea took me before the sea took me. Like I used to, I'd come back, I'd say hi, I'd spend a night with them on my weeks back. The rest of the time I'd be out spending all night drinking with the crew because and knowing contacts and such, because the sea had taken me before the sea had taken me. So they still exist, but this is kind of like a thing where he just kind of wasn't really a great father. He came by, said hi, gave the family the money or his payments, and then he would go drink the rest of it. And that's why he always wants riches, so he could pay his family and also have his own and live free from these I guess obligations of family. Yeah.
Dude, your character's theme song has got to be Looking Glasses Brandy. That you just you're a fine girl. What a good wife you would be.
Yeah.
But my heart, is the sea. And then you come in, drink, and then take off.
Yeah.
You are Looking Glass. The rest of you are rats.
Dude, I hope so. If you had the kid early, that this kid that you left that was 8 or whatever is now like 18, or even 10, and now
an incoming member of the family. Trying to join, trying to be like his father. I love it.
But you don't
may not even know you had a kid.
But you don't know.
You might not, or you might not remember.
It could be a whole memory thing. I love
second kid.
Now listen, you're giving Will Jones a child to drop in and say at any moment, your son is here. What? This vile person we've had to deal with is going to end up being somebody's child.
To be his son.
How dare you people? I'm surrounded by rats and people that are traitors.
It's like real life. Man, I've just looked at the time, and we've got to
say that right now.
We've got to wrap.
We got to wrap because we've been chatting away for 2 hours. We've been creating characters, creating backstories, and we got so much material now here for me to write between now and next week's episode, which is of course our first session. So if you're excited, then please do let us know. It's been great. You can follow us all on our Twitter handles here. If you want to find us, you can find Encounter Roleplay on twitch.tv/Encounter Roleplay. Come along and follow the rest of the crew and join us for our up-and-coming season of Learn by Play. It's going to be a good one. I'm super excited to meet these characters next week and to learn more about them and their stories. But my friends, that's all we've got time for. So until next time, try not to throw too many net ones because we want to be laughing when you do. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, and we're out of here.
Woo!